Hey there. Welcome to the Flute 360 podcast. I'm Dr. Heidi K. Begay, and I'm a flutist, educator, coach, and podcaster. My God-given mission is to serve you. I am passionate about guiding you, the modern-day flutist, to discover your unique voice on and off the stage. The goal of this podcast is to help you thrive, both as an artist and as a musicpreneur. Go ahead and grab some espresso, your favorite notepad, and let's get to it. Today's episode 226 is titled Expand Online with Jaime Slutzky. So what I would like to do is to officially introduce you to the 360ers because you are such a dear friend and colleague of mine, and I'm so glad that you reached out and said, hey, let's find another way to collaborate yet again, because we met like maybe a year or two ago, but it feels like you've been in my circle for much longer than that, because within the year, we've gone through each other's summits as presenters. We've been on each other's podcast shows. We did a three-way conversation with yourself, me, and Ben Capillo, and the collaborations keep coming. And so because of that, I'm so appreciative. And you're going to hear Jaime's story here in a little bit, but she's a techie, like she said, and she chose to be in the music space. She could have chosen any other field, but she decided to really support music educators and musicians thrive in the online space. And she can talk about that a little bit and give her backstory, but I'm so appreciative, A, of your friendship, B, the fact that we keep collaborating, and C, the fact that you're carving out time for me and my listeners. It really means the world to me. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here, Heidi. I love collaboration. You know that. That's why we host summits, right?
Yeah. So share with the 360er a little bit about yourself and, why you're so passionate about helping musicians in the tech space and all that jazz.
Yeah, absolutely. So I came home from my corporate job in 2011 when my kids were pretty little. And I started doing just freelance website work because that was something I knew I could do with my background and my knowledge and desires and my flexible schedule and all of that. And it was not perfect. It was not perfect because I was doing work for people that I just didn't want to work for. I didn't care about building a website for a real estate agent. I didn't care about building a website for someone in the spiritual realm. Sure, they have wonderful work and they have their followers. But when I got to work on a course website for one of my dear clients who teaches the bass guitar, I said, I want more of this. What is it about this client that I want more of? And it kind of like just hit me, and it said, I love the fact that she has come online to share her expertise and open doors and create opportunity for others to tap into their creativity. Because, that's what happens when somebody is learning from a musician. I mean, she's a gigging musician. She has a full gig schedule, as well as all these creative courses and stuff like that. And I said, I want more of that. And so I kind of took all of the other types of clients aside, and I just kind of stopped promoting my services to them and doubled down on music education. And truthfully, I didn't double down hard enough, fast enough. I said, okay, well, it's creatives. So maybe visual artists as well as music, and music teachers. And I realized, no, it's a different subset. And so I have this list that I have running of all the instruments that my clients are teaching. I've worked with a harpist. I've worked with guitar teachers. I've worked with piano teachers. I've worked with an oboe teacher. I've worked with a cellist, and so I just had this running list. And truthfully, I haven't worked with a flutist.
Ooh, and here we are.
Exactly.
Well, someday I am going to, and I really wholeheartedly mean this, You are on the top of my list of somebody who I want to work with in my own business. So perhaps I can be number one or number two flutist, through that through that list of musicians. Because seriously, I love everything you do. Your message is super clear. You are so approachable as a coach, and you have been in this space for quite some time. So if you want to, as a musicpreneur, this is just kind of a blanketed statement. What I'm learning is if you want to, and I know you will agree with this, Jamie, if you want to get to level 2 or level 3 within your business, you have to pull a coach alongside you to help you get you to that place, because we can only go so far with our own knowledge. And that's great,
Yes.
like running the course by yourself. But look at Tiger Woods. He had a coach, and he has a coach all the way throughout his career. And he's been number one for quite some time, right?
Right.
And you look at the NBA basketball players, they have personal trainers. Why? Yes, they're professionals, but they need a coach still to encourage them and to give them knowledge and information that perhaps they haven't gained yet, and then implement it. Just so you can keep getting better and better and better. And so all that's to say is, I absolutely love your work. And one day, mark my words, we will work together, because I'm, say, at stage
I'm here for
3.
it.
Okay. I'm saying, perhaps I'm at stage 3, and now I'm like inching to 4 to 5. And I know that I need a coach to get me to those different stages. And that's just an encouragement for everybody listening right now. If you're stuck, pull a coach like Jamie, or pull a coach like Garrett, or I'm listing off mutual friends, Eric Branner or Garrett Hope. Pull these people into your orbit to get you to that next level.
Absolutely. And the other reason why bringing someone in who is not living and breathing everything that you do is because they have insight. They see something from a third person, from an outsider perspective. And this is actually something I tell a lot of my clients as well, is that as great as it is to have your spouse on board, they have a vested interest in your outcome. That, if you succeed, then their life is going to be better. But if you bring a coach, an advisor, a mentor, somebody else along who is only there to make sure that you are doing the best of what you can, and knows that their success isn't dependent on your success. So, like, if you create an online course and you have a coach helping you bring it in the pieces, or you have a technology strategist bringing in, making it all work online, we don't have like a success metric of, ooh, well, your course brought in X amount of dollars, this many students, and had this many, people doing all this other stuff. We've just helped set you up for success without that vested interest. And I think it's really important to have both. Obviously, we want to have encouragement from the people who we love and that we surround ourselves with, but also having encouragement from somebody who can look at things from that outside perspective and see holes that you might not see, or poke holes in something that you think is perfect. And it's because we want to make it the best possible product.
You guys can't see this, but I am literally over here just like so giddy, and my face just lit up, because that right there, Jamie, was such a gold nugget. That was such a huge gem, poking holes in places that perhaps we didn't even know needed holes to be poked in.
Right.
Did I say that right?
Yeah.
But literally objectively giving you that feedback from a very objective standpoint, just like what we would do in the practice room with our music teacher, right? You're playing that out of tune. You're at the end of the phrase, you're going a little flat, bring it up. Because they want you to, and they're highlighting things that need to be worked on from this very loving space to see you succeed.
Yes, exactly. And online, there's so much opportunity for success in like micro ways. Like, you don't have to be the next Amy Porterfield or Gary Vaynerchuk to have amazing success online. You could honestly and truly have like the smallest micro product. You could have a $29 course that every single person wants. And, every single person who's playing the flute at a certain level goes through your course, and you could have volume, or you could be at that level where you are offering something in real time. That's the other thing, is if you are teaching and you have some of these products like a course or, a group program and things like that, that ups the value of your live instruction time. So because when we say, okay, this course costs $100, a course $200, $500, or whatever that is, and they get 20 hours of your teaching for that $200, $500, whatever price you set it at, then all of a sudden it says, okay, 20 times 500 is that, 10,000. Why do I use numbers like this? Oh my God. I'm sitting here with my college math, calculus textbook on my desk because my daughter's taking calculus right now. So I should know how to do my multiplications. But anyway, that was 3 zeros and plus the 10. So yeah, $10,000 value in that course. So all of a sudden, instead of you charging $50 an hour for your live time, you should be charging $200, $500, $800 to give the equivalent value of what you've given in your asynchronous products. But I digress. I just kind of like went on a tangent there, Heidi.
No, I love the tangent because it segues beautifully into like the main question that I wanted to ask you today. I have lots of questions to ask you, but the main question I wanted to ask you was to highlight this topic of building these new opportunities for yourself and for your career. The reason being is because I'm in communication with my 360 listeners all the time. I get emails and DMs and these love letters, and I absolutely love it. I want every 360 listener to email me at any time a thought pops up into your head, because this is how I know how to create the content that brings you value. And the main hurdle that I hear time and time again through these love letters is, Heidi, I want to build new opportunities for myself, but I don't even know where to begin. And I've had coaches in the past, not coaches per se, but mentors in the past say, well, here's some air quotes, just do it. Just do it. Just go out there and do it. And I get it. I understand, and I'm empathetic to those mentors, because at some point you just have to pull the trigger and go. But what are those steps? What does that look like? It's not really tangible in a lot of our minds when these 360 listeners hear, just do it. It kind of frustrates them. So your tangent was going into this conversation of building new opportunities for yourself. And one of the ways you can do it in the space that Jaime is in and what she's advocating is building those opportunities for yourself and for your career and your business through the online space. So you can go down your tangent a little bit more now that you understand what perspective I'm coming from. But that is one of the biggest hurdles that I hear all the time.
Yeah. Okay. So I love the framing of this. We want to layer our business. So if you've got a performative side and you are, you're doing performance as a gig or an ensemble or, however you are performing, that's one avenue. What can we layer on top of that? Something that you are already doing in your own practice, like in your own practice room or in your own like skill bank. This could be anything. You can teach something small that you are already doing, as I said, like in a micro course, or you could even do it in a live workshop series if you don't want to pre-record things. And when I say it can be super small, it could be my morning routine when I have a performance. How to set up a morning routine, how to make sure that my weeks that I am performing on 2 or more nights, I do it, this, that, whatever. You could totally go that way where it's not even performative or practice or playing or anything to do with repertoire, technique, any of that. It's life skills. So you could definitely add life skills, your own practical experience, life skill as something that you can teach and create. Obviously, we can create and teach anything that you feel you are a couple steps ahead of somebody else. Like Heidi was saying, when you get to level 3 or level 4, you need a level 5 or level 6 coach. You can't have a level 1 or level 2 coach. So it's the same thing. There are some things that you're doing already that you are ahead of others on, and you can teach on that. In order to be able to find your space online and be able to attract people who are like, "Ooh, I want to learn what Heidi does before she goes to get ready to go and perform." You have to be visible. You have to make an effort for people to see you in the light that they need to see you in, so that they can believe that you're going to help them get ready for their performance better. So you are wanting to make sure that your social media content is related to what it is that you're going to want to teach or what you're going to want to share. Share a little bit of it. Share a lot of it if you want, because the secret and the magic with online courses and products is that you've put them under an umbrella and given them structure. It doesn't, so like you could teach everything on social media, but then still put it under an umbrella where it says, okay, I do this and I do this and I do this, and make it, create checklists. And I mean, I could go on forever with this, but it's really 3 things. It's have something that people want, let them know that you're here to offer that thing, and make it easy for them to be in conversation with you. Heidi, you were just talking about how connected you are with a 360 community. Every single person who's listening right now, it doesn't matter how big or small your community is, get connected with them, start engaging with them. If you see something that you like, comment on it. If you want to build a relationship with somebody or you want them to be interested in what you're doing, invite the conversation. I am really, really big about 2 things. One of them is that your course or your content has structure. And the other one is that you have a way to communicate with people. Social media and email marketing are those tools in the online space. I mean, ask me a million questions about those if you want. We can go really deep into them.
No, that's amazing. You unlocked so many nuggets. I literally do not know where to start. One, you were talking about, initiating those conversations, building those relationships, and that is so key. And you are on one of my major soapboxes, and that is networking. And not networking from the sleazy standpoint, but networking from this very authentic place, because we need people, whether it's helping us create that online course, right? Like what we were talking about earlier, onboarding you as a coach, perhaps. Like that is a relationship that needs to be fostered, right? And then you can move forward. Or you're a listener who's converting into being a potential client or whatever it is. We need relationships. We need people to foster, to come together, to start brain dumping and putting our thoughts into projects and moving the needle forward for everybody. So that way there's a win-win-win for everyone involved. So figuring out, going back to what you said, your 3 steps, it was genius. You were saying, figuring out what your niche is and what you're really good at and what you want to bring to the table. How does one even start figuring that out? Because again, I'm trying to get into the shoes of my 360 listener, and I hear them hearing this and saying, yeah, I understand that. That's great. But there are a million flutists out in the world. What makes me different? What can I offer that's different than an Amy Porter or a James Galway, or I'm naming off some big flute names here. What can I offer? Because I think, and it's kind of funny because flutists, we're notoriously infamous, probably being known as like a diva or a drama queen or being in the spotlight. But actually, a lot of flutists who come within my orbit have, and I empathize, deal with imposter syndrome. Who am I? And I think it's because there are so many huge flutists out there doing big things, and we see them under this limelight, and we're like, oh, but I'm not them. And then they kind of shy away and then don't know what to offer the world. So is there like 1 tip, 2 tips that you can help said person?
Yeah. Start with something that you can do in your sleep. Think about what it is that you do so automatically that you don't even have to think about. That is where you start. If you are, I mean, like, again, it was like you developed this practice routine, you developed this performance ritual.
Mm.
That's something that nobody else has the exact same practice or performance ritual as you. Why does it work for you? Get introspective and say, why does it work for me? So that you can pull out all the little nuggets. And, another thing that is, you can do is ask a friend to say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? What
Mhm.
questions would you have for me? And it doesn't even have to be a close friend. You can go up on social media where you've been networking with other people and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this new project. Would you answer a few questions for me? I want to see if it resonates with enough people. And then you're building not only your short list of potential future buyers, but you're building yourself an advisory board, which I
Mhm.
love because you can build them as an advisory board and give them, and have them help you contribute to the product, or you can give it to them for free as a thank you, or you can build it collaboratively with these people you think are ideal audience for you for that course. And then you get their testimonials. Start small. You don't have to start at the beginning of someone's flute journey. You don't have to start with this is how you put the flute together. There are hundreds of thousands of YouTube videos on that. That's not what people are going to be buying. That's not what people are going to look at you as an expert at.
Mhm.
Go deeper, go sideways. And that's the cool thing with online is that you can have something, a product, whether it's a workbook or a video course or whatever it might be, that sits alongside what they're doing in band, what they're doing in orchestra, what they're doing in their private, practice with their
Mhm.
private teacher. You can create something, again, like a course, a workbook,
Mhm.
whatever it might be, that is complementary to what they are already learning and how they are already learning, or supplementary, going deeper on something
Mhm.
that was interesting, but wasn't able to get that focused attention. There
Mhm.
are thousands upon thousands of course ideas that haven't been brought to light yet. So don't filter yourself. Just sit down. Maybe, I don't know when you're going to be listening to this. If you want to sit down by the fire, or if you want to sit down in a nice spring garden and just go free. Just grab a piece of paper and a pen and write down all of the things that you think are too silly that you do, and something's going to come from that. It really will.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to start jumping up and down my chair again. That was so good. I am going to use that forever and then quote Jaime Slutzky as I reference that gem. And that is do something that you can do in your sleep.
Yeah.
Something that is so innate, something that's so natural and organic within your being and who you are as an educator or performer. And you don't have to think twice about it. You can just literally go up. When you said that, I imagined being called, like going to bed, and then being called at 8 a.m. the next day saying, hey, Heidi, we need you to present right now at this university. Go. What's your topic?
Hmm.
Okay, well, what is that innate thing? What's the thing that I could do in my sleep without even thinking twice about it? Where I could just go up to an audience and say, all right, I'm really passionate about podcasting and all the different layers of podcasting and how it can bring fruit to your music career, and just go without
Yep.
even thinking twice about it. And I love that. I absolutely love that, Jaime. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think that it's that we try too hard.
Okay.
So often we think we have to be so unique, and we push away our golden ideas because we think that they are not good enough. I mean, you said it already. You said that so many flutists have imposter syndrome. Well, that's that whole not good enough thing. Guess what? even if you created the exact same course as 50 other flutists, the differentiating factor is you. And that's why email marketing and social media are so valuable, because we want people to buy from you because they resonate with the way that you communicate, with the way, not the what, with the way
Hmm.
that you present things, with the way that you appreciate them, with the way that you have supportive statements in your vernacular. That's the thing. It's not the what, it's the way that you do things. That's what makes all the difference.
Ooh, yes. You are speaking my language, because something I say on the show quite a lot is we all have unique thumbprints and fingerprints. And I sound really wonky when I say this, but I always say, like, you are a unique set of fingerprints. We are a unique set of, skill sets and the way you say things, like your personality. There's no like, there are a million, let's say, flute fundamental classes out there already. Flute
Mhm.
tone, articulation, technique. Okay, we've covered the fundamentals, but the way you deliver it through your vernacular, through your personality, that's what attracts the moths to the flames in the
Mhm.
most sweet way I can possibly say that. It's literally a moth to a flame. It's like, oh, wow, like, I like how Jane describes it through her storytelling, or I
Mhm.
like how Brian is a little bit more analytical. You get
Yeah.
the idea. And that's what attracts your dream client to you versus somebody else.
Yes, 100%. And I think that that's something that we have to embrace, is embracing our uniqueness. I have had pink tips on my hair for like 3.5 years. I think it's been 3.5 years. It's been a long time. And it's something that is part of my personality now. People are excited when they say, "Oh my God, your hair's still pink." I'm like, yeah, of course it is, because it's fun.
Yeah.
And I think that we can soften the edges of our insecurities by embracing the things that we feel just really good and really confident with. I mean, it's simple in theory, but you
Mm.
have to start taking the steps. You have to start saying, "Hey, I'm curious about this. I wonder what would happen if I posted this. I'm going to post it and see," instead of
Mhm.
wondering. Don't wonder,
Mhm.
do it. The trick with online, this is like everybody knows it, but they don't really think about it, is that if you post something and it bombs, do you know what?
Yeah.
Nobody saw
No.
it.
And I can attest to that. There have been many bombs, I think, through my side and my end of things. And you know what? Most of the time, like 99.9% of the time, it's crickets. Nobody
Yeah.
probably even noticed. Or even if they did notice, they just went about their day because they have a million things on their docket
Mhm.
and you're not really a concern to them. So, yeah, just throw it out there. And like you said, see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we work on all the time with our clients
Hmm.
in my, online music course accelerator program, because I want to make sure that we're getting the right course out there.
Hmm.
And it's just one of those things. And I mean, like we talked about earlier, like we do summits. Why do I do a summit every year? I do it to raise other people's voices. I do it to have exposure. I do it because I like it when we are curious.
Hmm.
I can tell you, because I look at analytics and all of that stuff. I know which sessions of the summit resonate with people. And I
Hmm.
bring more of that back next time. It's the same as when I'm posting on social media. I see
Hmm.
what resonates and I bring more of that back next time. So there's so much we can do, but we have to make sure that we're not doing it for vanity reasons. We're
Yeah.
doing it for growth reasons. And when we do it for growth reasons, we have to actually see that that growth is happening and
Hmm.
and grab it. I mean, Heidi,
Yeah.
I know that there's so many things we could talk about, and it's hard to say, "Oh, this is the thing."
Yeah.
Be curious
Mm.
and take action. Those are my
Mm.
two big takeaways.
I love that. And that's the piece of encouragement that I needed to hear today as a reminder that, curiosity is so powerful. And that's, again, something that I say a lot through this show and even in my own teaching studio and my own practicing sessions. And that's what boggles my brain sometimes is musicians not seeing themselves as a business and not treating these courses or these offerings as from this business standpoint because they think business is like a 4-letter word or it's icky or it dampens their creativity or I don't even know. I'm kind of throwing out some ideas. But the more I'm in business, the more I realize that I was and am more creative than I gave myself credit for as a musician. And
Yep.
it actually in tandem, like being a businesswoman has helped my creativity because I have to be curious with like what you're saying. What would this offering look like? How would I market it? And, you look at it from all these different angles and then you realize like, oh, wow, like I'm breaking this apart. I'm putting it together like this big puzzle. And then when I go to teach or when I go to practice, it's now innately in my being to be more curious in my tone, in how I teach something to my students. And that's who we are as musicians already. We're already curious about, oh, what if I did this with the airstream? Or what if I did this with my fingers or my body? We're already thinking like that. So
Yep.
for a musician to cut off and say, well, I'm not a business, to me it's disheartening because it's like, no, you are already such a creative being. In order to be a successful business person, you need to be curious, you need to be creative, and you already have those things. You already
Yes.
have those skill sets. Now just, perhaps light a flame to that match and just let it poof, just let it burn. I don't know. There's a lot in there. Is there anything that you took away from that? Anything that you want to add to it?
I think that it's exactly that what you do and who you are and how you put together your day has already shown that you can be successful in a business endeavor. As a performer or as a professional, the structures that you put in place under that umbrella work exactly the same under a business umbrella. So don't be scared to do it. That would be
Yeah.
that would be how I would wrap that one up.
Yeah. I love it. And then I know we're going to wrap up here very soon because I want to respect your time. But the second thing you said was you need to shine a light onto those offerings, AKA marketing. Let the people, let the world, let your dream
Yes.
client know about the thing you've created. And that's another hurdle I think a lot of modern day musicians get stuck in because in music school, they didn't teach us how to enroll, how to invite,
Mm-hmm.
how, into said programs. Because again, what? I'm a business. That's a thing.
Yep.
And enrollment and just putting out the fact, hey, I created this course. I wrote this book. I put together these worksheets. Just even letting the world know about that creation is another hurdle that I think a lot of musicians get stuck in. They don't want to come across as being pushy or shining the limelight onto them and to their offerings because again, who am I? But a lot of it is I think getting stuck into they don't want to sound or look salesy.
Yes.
They don't want to feel like they're pushing anyone into their offering. Can you talk
Yes.
about that?
Yeah, I think that that's actually something that happens a lot. And that's because you're being too general. When you are specific, when you
Okay.
have your one thing, it's easy to just like showcase that thing. It's a lot easier. I mean, I'll use myself as an example. My posts are always bent with the lens of how is this going to help a music teacher?
Hmm.
And so if you go specific and I mean sometimes it's even how am I going to be able to help how is this going to help a music teacher in their 40s or 50s? Because
Hmm.
that's going to be a different conversation than how is this going to help a music teacher in their 20s or 30s? It's just a generational thing. It's there are, so when you get specific and ask yourself, how is this going to help that person, you're putting blinders on to a lot of other things that are out there. And that makes marketing so much easier. And it makes it like you're actually trying to have a conversation and not trying to sell. The selling comes a lot easier when someone knows that they want to buy from you. I mean, we talked about it at the top of this conversation, Heidi. You said, I am going to work with you, Jamie. And how did that come about? That came about through generosity, reciprocal generosity, awareness, understanding, all of that stuff. And it comes in time. Don't expect to post and immediately get 100 sales.
Yeah. You're like, where are my 100 Heidi clients right now? Where are they? It does take time. It does take time. And it's because you're building those relationships and people purchase from those whom they know, like, and trust.
Totally.
And I will say, disclaimer, I have known, liked, and trusted you from the get-go. So that wasn't that wasn't the reasoning. And yeah, once you are very specific on who your clientele is, you're right. Like, I went into 360 thinking that I was selling lessons and my offerings to the 20 and 30-year-olds because I was helping younger Heidi. I was helping the Heidi who wished she would have known XYZ to kind of help her along that journey earlier on, right? But what ended up happening was my avatar, the person who actually purchases from me, is 45 plus. And the conversation and the language, the vernacular is completely different of how I talk to my 360ers through newsletters and content creation through the podcast. Social media blast is completely different because that's a completely different generation.
Yeah.
It's so different.
We're a great generation, I can say, as a 45-year-old.
No, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So if you're a 20 or 30-year-old, I'll still work with you, of course. But what ended up happening was, and then noticing who your client is, and that could evolve because you as a business person evolves, your business could evolve, and there's different seasons, there's different fluctuations. So now I'm serving the 45 to 60-year-old, but who knows, maybe in 2 to 5 years, I'm serving the 30-year-old.
Yeah.
Right.
And, and I say this as well. You market to a niche, but you don't have to sell to that niche. So your outbound marketing is specific for those 45 plus. But like you said, you'll work with a 30-year-old, because your sales are not confined to the niche. The person who you're making it for might, falls in a specific space, but the person who resonates with the message doesn't necessarily fall in that same space. So like where you're projecting doesn't necessarily mean that it's exactly where it's going to land, but you have to start projecting. You have to start putting your marketing messages out there and then take notice of who is coming and all of that stuff.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I'm going to replay this episode again, not for the edits, but for the mere fact that I need a piece of paper and a pencil out. And all of those nuggets are going to go up on my whiteboard and I'm going to meditate on them for weeks to come because they're so encouraging and so valuable. And I thank you so much, Jamie, because you didn't hold back. You literally gave us your expertise. You put it out on the table. And thank you for being so generous.
Absolutely, Heidi. You and your Flute 360 community is what it's all about. I mean, the more that we can create and share and inspire and motivate, the better off next year, the year after, 5 years from now are going to be. So I'm happy to have been here, happy to do this. Absolutely.
That's amazing. So can you briefly tell the listeners what's on the docket for you, upcoming course, how can people work with you, your website, all of that?
Well, the best place to get started if you want to hear more from me is the Music Teachers Expand Online podcast. I changed the name a few months ago from Expand Online to Music Teachers Expand Online, just to be a little bit more specific. So the Music Teachers Expand Online podcast, wherever you're listening to this now, is the best thing. If you want to learn how to start making money teaching music online, go to expandonlinenow.com, which is where you can sign up for my free guide on that, and then connect connect with me on Instagram. I'm at Jaime Slutzky. I think that's probably the best. I always am posting about whatever I've got going on. I've got a course and a program, and I've got a couple other courses that I'm working on as well. So yeah, connect with me through those channels. That's probably the easiest.
Sweet. And I will put all those links in the show notes below so that way it's super easy access for y'all. And I love this conversation, not only for you and I to connect, because it's been a hot second, but then just to touch in and see what you're doing and the amazing things that you're doing through Expand Online. I absolutely love it. And it's all connected to, because I'm in this space right now of talking and promoting about the Ultimate Music Business Summit. And that is something that you've actually presented through last year, and you've attended it. So just a friendly reminder to everybody, if you need more information on topics just like what Jaime's talking about, expanding online, how do you put together your digital classes, your offerings? How do you get more students for your studio gigs, copywriting, corporate sponsorships, all of these opportunities, the thing that we're talking about right now. If you want to build that portfolio career, the Ultimate Music Business Summit is something where you can tap into people just like Jaime and have these conversations that Jaime and I are having right now for your 2023. So you can check out musicsummit.biz to grab your ticket and use Jaime as a resource, use UMBS as a resource. We are here for you. We are rooting for you, and we want nothing but the best for you.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for having me, Heidi.
Thank you, Jaime. Thank you for listening to today's content. I am personally inviting you to join the Flute 360's mailing list. All you have to do is go to HeidiKBigay.com, and on the right-hand side, there is a teal tab that says subscribe. Every week, I send out a new newsletter, and it is jam-packed with episode links, podcast news, music events, and sometimes discount codes. So if you want to be a part of the Flute 360's community, then go ahead and join the mailing list now, because this is the best way to stay in touch with myself and other flutists from across the world. Thanks. Let's talk about flute.